your calls, please. Should Nigel Farage kick out his Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin after comments she made about black and Asian people? 0207 862 2222. Let's have a reminder of what she said.
I think Stuart's absolutely right. Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah?
White.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and I feel that your average white person, average white family is like I agree with you, Stuart, not represented anymore in TV.
There are lots of white people on television, Sarah, or they're not. There are lots of white people. There are lots of white men. There are lots of white women.
We're talking about adverts, and how many times do you look at a TV advert and you think there's not a single white person on it?
So Stuart, she was talking about, was the caller who obviously said something similar, and she then went in and doubled it, and she now has apologised, saying her remarks were phrased poorly. The Prime Minister's condemned her comments as racist, and both Labour and the Lib Dems say Mr Farage should suspend her. But the Reform UK leader is standing by Ms Pochin.
The words that Sarah Pochin used in response to a caller into talk radio on Saturday morning were without ugly, and taken on their own, could be read to be very, very unpleasant indeed. I am unhappy with what she has done. I can't underestimate that, and she fully knows. And if I thought that the intention behind it was racist, then I would have taken a lot more action than I have to date. And that is because I don't.
What do you think, Radzi?
Well, I think we live in a time where it's now become acceptable to have prejudice towards some minority groups and not others. If those words were said about Jewish people, Sarah would rightfully be called an anti-Semite. But because it's about black or brown people, it's totally not. And I think, for me, the big thing about Farage now is he's got the X factor. He's the one that all the news outlets want because he's the one that gets the good copy. He's the one who gets eyeballs, does numbers. We all want to go for a drink with Farage. The question is, will he lead the country? Well, to lead a country, you need to be a leader. And leadership would be, as a bare minimum to admonish, I would have suggested sacking, because what she said...
Sacking, what, saying you're not an MP for us anymore?
Correct, for me. Because...
That's quite a big play, isn't it? Because she won the by-election last year.
Yes.
She was therefore a new arrival. She's one of very few women in that party in the Commons.
But to me, those are totally irrelevant points in the sense that what she said was by definition racist, and thus by definition it failed the parliamentary code of conduct. And so for me, she has to go. Not an opinion. I couldn't give a monkey's what she said. To me, it's like listening to a dog barking in the street. I couldn't really care less. But the fact is, she's reneged on her role and her duty as a parliamentarian.
Annabel. You don't just think that she should be kicked out of Reform, you should think that she should cease to be an MP?
Actually, based on the code of conduct, now the truthful answer is, I don't know what happens when you fall foul of code of conduct.
The code of conduct doesn't matter. It's what you think about it.
Well, in which case, then, I say she has to go.
Right. Because she did say, I mean, if you take her phrase in isolation, she said, I'm driven mad by seeing adverts full of black and Asian people. What do you make of that?
Well, I think they're the most dreadful comments, extremely poorly worded. I expect she's horrified, or I hope she's horrified and mortified by what she said, and having to watch that clip be played and cut and posted on social media endlessly. I think it's going to be a very interesting test of Farage's leadership, because were this Keir Starmer, one imagines that he wouldn't sack or suspend, and he'd dither, and because he's a weather vane, a couple of weeks later he'd be bounced into making a decision.
Well,
of
he
taking
has fired quite a lot of his people,
yes,
like Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn have gone, you know.
Only after being pressured by his advisors, his backbenchers, to do so. I mean, we saw that with Angela Rayner and Peter Mandelson, for instance. So I think it will be interesting to see if Farage is able to dig in his heels and stick with what he has just said.
I was surprised she apologised. I thought with this she's got to front it up, because once she apologises, then the ceiling falls in. It's very offensive, but she obviously meant to say it. So what's she apologising for?
This hasn't been said in a vacuum. She spoke about wanting to ban the burqa. She spoke before about asking Parliament whether we're under Sharia law. You know, this isn't a to me, this isn't a classy human being. And for example, would she be bothered about talking about seeing lots of black and brown faces that are cleaners, lots of black and brown faces that are probably providing the catering services at the corporate events that she no doubt goes to? She wouldn't care. It's because specifically of the perceived elevation of being involved in an advert and thus the success that that person has, she was driven mad by it. Driven mad. You're not driven mad by anything unless something really gets under your skin. You have to have a dislike. And for me, coming back to the Parliamentary Code of Conduct, it says in it, should be made impartially, fairly, and on merit, free from bias. How can you be free from bias when you get mad when you see certain faces?
Well, I think the point that she was trying to make was that you do have an overrepresentation of ethnic minorities.
And it's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And there are lots of studies which have shown that we are still a country which is 81% white. And I think that, I mean, who can say what the inner workings of Sarah Pochin's mind are? But my understanding is that was the point that she was trying to convey, was that advertising has gone a bit woke and she finds it irksome.
Yeah, well, maybe
and the
way you put
by the
it
way,
there.
I would just say is, there's a discussion for another day. But actually, I think it is something that we ought to be having at the national level, whether it's, it's something that we should be considering banning.
Barbara in London, hello.
Hello there, hi.
Do you think she should be thrown out of her party?
No, absolutely not. I think what she said was clumsily put, but what she said was it was based in fact, because black people are only 4% of the population, and yet they're represented in adverts, and I think a lot of dramas too, to 51%. So it's unbalanced, and it's that surge has been since Black Lives Matter. I do think she said it in a very clumsy way, and it could have been put better. But it's factual. It's absolutely factual.
Yeah, but no one's arguing with the facts of it. They're arguing with her emotions, aren't they? That's the issue of, as you say, of how she said it. Thank you, Barbara. Yvonne in London, do you think she's said enough to get booted out?
Good morning, Jeremy and panel.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I don't think she should be kicked out. To a certain extent, free speech should be allowed, and it shows exactly who they are and who you're dealing with. They're full of the country, Parliament, they're full of hypocrites. However, I was waiting for this eruption from people of her ilk, and I responded just last night to the majority of people on TikTok who agreed with her.
Well, this is the bit that's getting missed here. Yeah, because it might be that in terms of what she's saying, people might agree that it is disproportionate representation in these adverts. Do you think that, Yvonne?
Well, can I add my response? Why aren't there the same outcry regarding overrepresentation of black footballers, especially in the Premier League, and they're on TV all the time? Is it because in the main they're the ones who score and win the matches where they're lauded and applauded, and as a result they keep mum until, of course, they fail to score on penalties, such as the Euro, where youngsters like Saka, Rashford and co. who had vile racist abuse hurled at them from these same people. Yet their own can't score in a home game, let alone under the pressure of taking a penalty in such a high-powered match.
I get you, Yvonne, I've got it. And it's an interesting thought of whether, to be fair, Pochin should say, I'm disgusted that there are so many black footballers, when in fact we know that they're there on merit because they're better in their positions than the equivalent person from another ethnic origin.
It's a huge point. Actually, Sarah went to Loughborough University. I think she was there in the early 90s. And so therefore, I would imagine, I went to Loughborough as well, she'd like sport. She'd be acutely aware of the veracity of having a diverse England team, or dare I say, when it comes to the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics, you will see a number of black sprinters that will be participating and wearing the Union Jack with a great amount of pride. And for me, to just reiterate the point, no problem in stating facts. I don't have a problem with free speech to a point, but when it's exposing your opinion and your bias towards a group of people, and her idea of woke, by the way, I think she called it an arty-farty word to describe wanting to have more black and Asian people in some scenario. It's just, and the word clumsy is often used in this scenario. It was used for Lee Anderson, it was used for Boris Johnson when it came to speaking about letterboxes. That clumsy, ironically, is the most clumsy response that's used because it justifies a load of twaddle.
OK, Brian in Bedford, hi.
Hello there.
What do you think?
I think she was taken to task for her use of words. I mean, what she said was factual. I mean, I have been saying this to my dear wife, who's in the other room, for years and years and years. Why is it that this situation occurs? And I mean, I've emailed all the TV channels, the Advertising Standards Authority. Nobody replies to say why this is happening. I think she should have said and could have said, can I please have a decision, an explanation as to why this is happening, not to just come out with what she said, which is factually correct. I mean, I've sent you a big email this morning on your Facebook thing.
But why? It's a similar question that she was asked. Is why does it get your goat? Because it's of all the problems in the world, this has got to be about number 702.
Yes, she used the wrong words. I mean, she
why
said
why are you upset? You've obviously sent emails, Brian, and everything. Why?
Yeah, I watch TV, sport, and quiz shows and panel shows. I'm retired. I'm quite old, but it does get my goat. Well, I now turn the adverts to mute. I don't listen to them.
Turn to mute. Can you tell me why you feel so upset about it?
I'm of a certain age. I've been brought up the 60s to now, and I just don't think it's fair that we are being brainwashed into thinking things are normal that I don't think are normal. Other people say, yes, this is the way of the world now. Okay, fair enough. But
right. Radzi wants to come in 1 second. Go on, quickly.
Very quickly, Brian, I really take your point, and thank you for your honesty. Do you feel the same way about the disproportionate amount of people from private school that invariably present on television shows?
We've only got seconds.
Because I don't think they are described as that when they're on these shows.
Thank you, Brian, so much. Later, it's the papers and everything else, including the actress who says she'd love to play Bond. Find out who that is. After the break, we're asking whether train drivers deserve to earn £76,000 a year. That puts them in one of the top 10 earning jobs in Britain. Is that fair?